Welcome back, guys. We're here again for another episode. Before we start, I just want to thank everyone for their amazing support over the last few weeks. We've been getting a lot of great feedback, and it makes us want to keep doing more episodes. So yeah, just keep tuning in. We've got a very special guest today with us. I'll introduce him.
So we've got Christian Inglese today, a youngster, 22 years old, trying to make it. So we've had someone almost make it. Us have almost made it. Simo last week, pretty similar story. Now we've got someone trying to make it. So I guess, again, nice chat, nice and chilled. We'll just get into some questions, a chat, have a laugh. That's about it, man.
Sounds good, man.
Ready to go?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me.
So we'll start from the start. What made you get into football? When did you start? Was there someone in particular?
Look, I probably started playing organised for a club when I was about 8, but it would have started, much before that. My dad used to play.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky enough that when I was sort of growing up, me and my brother would go and watch him. He was sort of on the back end of his career, just playing sort of locally, but we would go and watch him, and then we'd end up, you'd play on one ground with dad, and then we'd be on the second pitch having a kick. You'd come on at half time and have a kick in the goals and that. So that's kind of when I first, got into playing, and dad was really big on it, and sort of he would let me stay up late and watch, Premier League or whatever was on, if it was like a 9:30 kickoff, so that's when I started really getting into it, and it was from there, like the love just grew and grew. It's always been something I've been really passionate about. So when I was about 8 years old, we started up, and we actually started at Avondale. It was just local. It was like 5 minutes around the corner, and dad knew one of the guys at the club, and so they're just like, if you want to get your kids started, come bring them here. So we went, and at that point Avondale wasn't, it wasn't the NPL. It was a lot different. They were playing, I think, would have been the equivalent of like State 4. So we were at Doyle Street, man, and you used to have the little orange ropes around the ground. The dogs used to run on the ground during the games. It was a mess.
Beach as well, remember?
Oh god, it was a shambles. It was just a public park, man. It was really sort of local level stuff, and I think there was maybe 3 or 4 junior teams at the time. So we had like 2 under 10s, an under 12s, and a 14s, and that was it. So I was 8 and my brother was 6, and we both started together. So we were playing in an under 10s team, just because the oldest kid there was 10. And so you sort of had to go with them, and we were just there having a kick, and we stayed there for 12 years. And so I just sort of went up through the age group. So I was always playing with kids that were a year, 2 years older than me. First year, just one of the dads just volunteered and took us coaching. It wasn't serious. Usual, and then dad sort of saw it, and halfway through our first year he sort of said, no, I'm going to step in and help out, because you're not learning nothing. He goes, if you're going to play, I want you to at least learn something. So then from there, he sort of took over, and from under 11s all the way up until I started, even in the under 21s, he was my coach, and he took me all the way through. And obviously,
what's that like, just quickly?
Oh god, bro!
Like always,
it's got its positives and it's got its negatives.
In teams, I was always like, coach.
Everyone hates the coach's son. Everyone hates the coach.
I know.
Everyone hates the coach's son. And I used to cop it all the time. Like there'd be one time, like you win like a best and fairest, for example. You have a good year. But you win best and fairest, and then you're getting off the stage. I was like, of course you want a shot.
It doesn't matter how good you are.
So you're almost like, but I guess it kind of helps you anyway, because you sort of constantly having to prove yourself. So I felt like, I'm here, and I'm good enough to be playing with these boys, and some of them are older than me and whatnot. But it's like, my dad's the coach, and everyone's going to be. I know everyone. You, man. He was, and I know everyone's going to be looking at me like, oh, that's the coach's son. So you kind of have to deliver, and you have to sort of be up to it.
At the end of the day, you sort of got your dad's name on the line too.
Exactly. Like, if I'm terrible and I'm like the weak link, all of a sudden everyone's like, bro, what's this guy doing?
100%.
Like he's just here for his son.
There's almost more pressure. Like you said,
it did feel like that, but I got used to it, and I'm still used to it now. Like it is what it is. But so I came up, through the juniors there at Avondale, and I guess I'm not like, all these guys that are in the A-League, that I never made any like regional teams or schoolboys or Vic. I trialed, and I would always get cut like first round, second round. I think one round I made it to like the last 22. But I've always played as like a midfielder, attacker, winger sort of type player, and they had me as a centre back, because at that point, I think it was under 13s, and I was about this tall, like as I am now. I didn't have grown since.
He's a big boy.
And not
especially next to us, but
But so I was playing at the back, and because I was just so big, and I was like pretty comfortable with the ball, and that's obviously what they wanted in those teams. and I just hated it.
But
so
was
much.
there something else in particular, or was it just because they're just playing you out of position, you weren't sort of comfortable, or?
Yeah, just not being comfortable. And I'm like, anyone who knows me as a footballer knows like I can't defend.
You're an attacking minded player.
Yeah,
You'd be like myself.
I can 1v1 attack, 1v1 defending. Forget about it. It's a different story. But I guess like in those teams, like they just wanted like 12 or 15, 16 ball players, and they just stuck them on the field.
Yeah.
And so I got to like the last trial. I'm like, shit, do I really want to do this, or do I want to just go back to Avondale and be playing, where I want to be playing? So I would get the ball from the keeper, and I like dribble a couple of players, get into midfield, dribble a few players. I'm like, fuck, whatever. If they cut me, they cut me. Like I'm done. And yeah, I got cut.
So pretty much got yourself cut.
Yeah, I got myself cut.
The bad thing I was thinking about it, because I hate to defend too. It's because I was short. I used to take the post, in the corner.
Yeah.
Because you were big, bro, you would have to be like.
Yeah, bro, and I hate marking set pieces. Still to this day, I hate marking set pieces.
Especially you always got a cop it. Like if
bad, bro.
Runner scores.
Forget about it.
I'm on the post, man. You
It's
can't blame
almost,
me.
it's almost worse because you're tall.
That's what I'm saying. You can't get away with it.
They expect you to be good in the air and stuff.
Oh, no, I'll get the post.
No. And oh god, bro, I was not built for that at all, man. But yeah, so then I went back to Avondale and I was back playing there. I think probably when I was 15 was like peak, like prime me was like 15. I was playing under 16s. Yeah, that was my best year, man. And I played as a number 10, and we played 26 games. I scored like 25 goals. I had like 21 assists. I was like second top scorer in the league at that point. And we finished, I think, like 7th or 8th. So it's not like we were like a top team. And that would have been 2016. So then from the year after that, that's when I made the jump straight to like I think it was under 20s. It was still under 20s at that stage. And so that was my first year in the 20s. And Dad was also still coaching. He started coaching the 20s at that point as well. I played a few games the year prior when I was 15 in the 20s, because our team at that point was really bad. Like I remember I scored my first goal. I think we played Bulleen. We lost like 9-2. But that was my first goal in the 20s. And so I played all of like when I was 16 in the 20s. And then the last 4 games of that year with the seniors, I had a few injuries. And so a few of us young boys were training with them, and they needed like numbers to fill the squad. And so I remember Anthony Barbieri was the coach at the time. And I remember he was basically speaking to my dad, and my dad sort of called me, and he's like, make sure you work hard at training. They're looking to maybe, bring you in the squad for the last 4 weeks of the season, whatever it was. So I was very, very lucky that I was only 16 at the time, and I got to play, I think it was 4 or 5 games with the seniors at Avondale. It was MPL 1. And I managed to even get on in the first ever game that the club had played in the finals in the MPL. We played Oakley. And I came on, we were losing 1-0, and I came on with like 10 minutes to go. And I thought, I think he's just doing this, to give me like that experience, like playing in a finals game. It was the biggest game in the club's history at that point. We'd never been there before. And I remember coming on, and I was like bricking it like hard. Fuck, man. And then it was even worse because within 3 or 4 minutes, we got a penalty. And we scored. Like, what a feeling, man. First of all, that was crazy. But then I thought, shit, now we're going to go to extra time. I'm 16 years old. He's put me on probably as like we might be done here. Let's give this kid, a run out at least. And now it's like, fuck, now I've got to play another half an hour and actually like perform. And with the last kick in the 90th minute, I fucking hit the post, man.
No way.
Yeah, ball gets crossed in. I was playing up front. He's like, just go up front and just chase everything for me. I'm like, yeah, done, bro. I'll do it. Ball gets crossed in, and I think they had like Steve Panelides and that playing at the back. So I'm this kid. I'm getting like absolutely bullied by these guys. The ball sort of spills out to me in the box, and I'm sort of facing away from goal. And I just turn my body in one motion and just hit a volley, and it hits like the outside of the post and goes out. And as soon as that happens, the ref blows the whistle for full time. I'm like, fuck, man, I could have just won the game, bro. Bro, imagine my career if that had gone in, man.
Yeah, you never know.
But that's what I mean. It's one of those moments, and everyone even says it like, fuck, can you imagine?
They don't want to be talking about a 16-year-old,
well, they would have made a big deal about it.
Yeah.
And we ended up losing in like the last minute of extra time. We on a counter attack too. Like we were going forward, and then long ball. Copped it on the break. But so then that was like a couple of months I was there with the seniors. And then from 2018 I was there full time. So I would have been, 17, 18. And like at that point we had some like top players in that team. Like you would know that team now. It's very similar to what it is at the moment. Like now they're a top side. When I first broke in, they were kind of a year or two in, like that was our first time in the finals. Now they're like, they're regularly. They're one of.
Crazy to see the evolution of Avondale, man.
Oh, it's not like
It's
I
all
said,
the
I've
same
been
too.
there. Yeah, I've been there since I was there when I was 8 years old. So I saw them when they were just playing
I remember,
locally.
man. We used to have 3 lights at the Doyle Street.
Oh,
We used
it's
to train
bad.
for
Yeah,
those orange balls.
yeah.
A lot of ones. I remember hard as a rock, man. Like literally,
Nuts.
to see them now, but like at the Collaborative Club, proper like venue.
They're doing really well. To their
social
credit.
presence and stuff.
Yeah,
they've taken big.
they've come a long way. So that was good as well. I kind of feel like I was a part of that
Yeah,
because
no,
obviously
it's
when I started, they were where they were, and then
100%, man.
by the time I left, I was probably like 19, and they were all of a
You
sudden
were
one
sort
of
of
the-
along the journey. With
basically
them,
along the journey. I was the first, I think the first player there at the club that had started there and made it all the way to the senior team.
Yeah, man. Not a bad start.
Yeah, so that was good. And then in, I think it was 2019, new coaches came in.
Yeah.
So Zoki and that came in, they took over.
Yeah.
That was my last full year there. I was with the senior squad still, but it was like one of those things where, not that I could tell the coaches didn't like me. There's just like a different style of football. They just wanted like a different type of player. They wanted someone who was a bit more like aggressive, get stuck in your face type, intimidating sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's never been me. I'm always more of the one that's
Ball
like
player.
technical,
Yeah.
let the ball do the work, that sort of stuff. So I could sort of see the writing was on the wall. I started the season with them pretty well, and then as it sort of went on, you're playing less and less.
It's funny how that happens, man. Like new coach comes in,
It's
and it's just completely different.
I remember thinking as well, like he was the assistant, obviously, so I knew him, but I'm like, if he comes in, is he gonna keep me? Is he gonna get rid of me? Is he gonna send me back to the 21s? Because I was only like 18, 19.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they might just say, "Oh, go back."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but they kept me on for the year, and then I remember speaking to him at the end of the season, and they're just like, "Look, for next year, we think you're like a talented player, but we're looking to bring in a few more boys, a few more experienced boys. We don't think you'll probably get any opportunity to really play much." They're like, "So you've been here for 2 or 3 years, but your best bet is probably to go somewhere, drop a level, even go into the state league somewhere, try to play seniors, and then, we'll keep an eye, and then in a year maybe we'll see if we bring you back." And this was,
That's what they all say, man.
this was, yeah. And I knew it was coming, so it's not like I went in there and was like, "Oh, what am I going to do?" But I'm like, yeah, all right, fair enough. And this was 2019, end of that season, so we're coming into 2020, and he's like, "I got a few contacts at a few clubs. I'll put you in touch, and we'll see how it goes from there." And this was the first time in 12 years I'd ever had to do any of this. So I was terrified. I'm like, fuck, man, I've never had to.
Yeah.
That's like
I've been playing,
That's a huge
juniors,
100%.
21s, and then I just progressed to the first team in the seniors. So I didn't have to do the whole, "Hey, I'm Christian, I've been playing at Avondale.
Then earn your stripes. And then
Yeah,
maybe
where are
get
you
a
training?"
this and
For me,
yeah.
man, it's an art in itself. I think
I learnt a lot,
something
man, like,
that
honestly.
we got good at.
Yeah.
Going from a club to club, trialing.
And it's
change
super
with new
important.
people.
Super important.
When
Like,
you haven't had that, man, I can't even imagine.
It
I was
is
terrified,
shit,
man.
man.
It's the worst.
It's a shit thing
And
to do, but then you get used to it. But
yeah.
it's the first time, man. That's a big thing.
yeah, but I think it's
That
something that's really important. That's almost more important than what you do with the ball sometimes. Like your first impression and the way you're
100%.
able to come into just a new change room and
Exactly
be like,
right, man. It's even like exactly like you said, just saying hello, being respectful. That
yeah,
first
well,
thing,
I just
they'll
remember
look at you,
going
"Oh,
there.
he's a good bloke," or
Yeah.
"He's a fucking dickhead,"
So
you know
I
what mean?
first went to Altona Magic.
Yeah.
Goran Lozanovsky was
Yeah,
the coach at the time.
Yeah.
And we weren't at their main ground. We were at another ground in Altona. And I just remember being so nervous. I pull into the car park by myself. I'm like, shit, I'm really doing this.
Yeah.
And I get out and I've got my bag and I'm walking through. And you see everyone just like, even because they had the 21s training there as well.
Yeah.
So all the 21s like,
Who's this guy?
and the senior boys are there. And I'm like, fucking hell.
And you know they're talking about you.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
so
worst
you
thing.
got to ask someone, "Oh, do you know where Goran is? I'm here to speak to Goran, the coach." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, he's around the back." So you go around the back, you're like, "Hi, Goran." "Oh," he's like, "Oh, I've been expecting you. Nice to meet you." And, you have a bit of a chat.
And then, this is a new guy.
Yeah, and he's like, "Boys, we've got Christian, he's going to be
Welcome,
training
yeah.
with us." And I'm like, "Yeah, no worries, what's going on?"
Man, I'd rather than
And
not say
I'm
anything.
very quiet, I'm
Yeah, yeah.
reserved. I'm not one to be life of the party out
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm really laid back. And so I'm just there fucking hell, man.
I
This is
hate
the
that
first
feeling.
time I've ever been somewhere. It's like being in a different country almost. I've never known anything
Especially at
other than Avondale at that point.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
a
it
big
was
thing too. 12 years you said you were there?
12 years,
12
man.
years,
I mean, I'm 22, so I've still spent more than half of my life
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
there
cool.
still,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? And I haven't been there for 3-4 years now.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. And I trained with them for about 3 weeks.
How did that go?
Good. I felt like I did all right, but it was the start of preseason. So in NPL, you got players that don't rock up for the first month
Yeah.
or so,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they got they're trying to sign players and they're not fully set. So with the boys that they had there, I felt like I was doing all right, but I always knew because they were in the top level at that point as well. I'm like, they're probably going to try to bring in some some players here.
Yeah.
And I think, to his credit, like Goran called me about 3 weeks in and he's like, look, you've done really well. I'm really impressed. He goes, but we've got a lot of other boys and I know that you were at Avondale and you were sort of training seniors playing 21s. He's like, I don't know if it's worth you coming here. You probably end up doing the same sort of thing.
At least he was honest with you.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, look, fair enough. And at that point, I'd gotten in touch with David Chick at Pascoe Vale. And they'd just been relegated. So they'd just come down and I was speaking to him and I was literally about to start training with Pascoe Vale that week anyway. So I was training like 5 days a week. I was doing like Monday, Wednesday, Friday was at Altona.
Yeah.
And then I was doing the Tuesdays and Thursdays was going to be with Pascoe Vale. So I was just training every day, just trying to like find a club basically.
Yeah.
And I remember as soon as I got off the phone with Goran Lozanovsky, I sort of said to like Pascoe Vale, yeah, I'm coming, I'll be there, this and that. And so I did pretty much the rest of pre-season there. Yeah. And while I was not training there, I was training because Dad still had the 20s at Avondale.
Yeah.
I was training extra there. I thought I've got to be like as prepared as possible because this is it, yeah? And so I went all the way through pre-season and I kept getting told I was doing really well. We had the GPS and I was smashing the fitness testing and the numbers and they're like, we're really impressed, you're looking really good. Anyway, it comes to like the last, this would have been 2-3 weeks before the season started in NPL 1. And they just started like signing all these players from nowhere. I'm like, fucking hell, man.
That's a frustrating thing. You know you've done all the work too.
You do all the work and you're like, fuck, I can probably play in this team. I might be on here. And then you see every session there's 2 or 3 new boys and you know like because they've been around the NPL for a bit.
And then you start discussing positions.
And you have a look and you see them and they're doing training drills with like an 11 and you're starting to be on the other team and you're like,
you gauge exactly over time.
And you're smart enough to sort of realize what's going on, you know, you're not stupid and you're like, oh, okay. And he basically gave me the same chat and this was about 2 weeks before the season sort of started. And I'm like, shit, man, I don't want to drop a level to play 21s. So I basically spoke to my dad. I'm like, what do I do, man? I got nothing here. And he's like, well, you're still under the age of 20. So just come stay at Avondale, stay with the 21s and we'll just basically have one eye out there and see if something comes up during the year. And we played the first 3 or 4 games. We got smacked. I remember I scored a nice goal against Altona in the 21s, but I think took it from like the halfway line on the bounce on the chest and it was just like bobbling because we played at Geelong's ground, but on the second pitch. So it was terrible. And I was about maybe like 30-40 yards out and I just see the keeper like flat-footed on his line or like a little bit off his line. So I'm like, you know what, we're 3-0 down. It was my birthday too. I wanted to score on my birthday. So I'm like, we're 3-0 down, bro. I literally don't care. And I just smacked one. I stuck it top left. Nice. And it must have felt good too. Bro. And I couldn't celebrate either. What? Because we were down 3-0, so I just did that.
Or just go grab the ball.
I made the sign of the cross. I said, come on, boys, let's go. And I just took off to the centre circle.
There's always that one wanker that you verse. It's like they're losing 5-0.
I can't respect that. I can't respect that. Nah, but luckily that game was streamed and I had a few mates. One mate that was playing at South Melbourne and he saw it and he was showing the boys there and some of the senior boys and like, fuck, who's this guy? So anyway, the 21s coach calls dad and he's like, what's the story with your son? What's he doing? What's going on at Avondale? And he's like, look, he's here just because he's got nowhere else. He's like, why don't you bring him to South? And as soon as I got that call, I'm like, yeah, fuck, bro. South Melbourne, definitely. Why not? It's a big club. It's a change of scenery. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. Definitely. I was there for a week. I went to watch them play a game because I wasn't registered yet. And then the pandemic happened and then that canned it. So I was like, far out, man. I lost a year basically. Yeah. And then I was, 19. So I thought, shit, if there's under 20s, if I then go back for 2021, I'll be 20, then that's it. Like I've only got one year left, I thought.
Yeah.
And so then 2021 comes around. They did change it to 21s. That way all the boys could get a year in. Because otherwise we all missed a year. We're out of the game, basically, you know. And so I went there again at South and we did half a year and then we got shut down. And I'm like, far out, man. Like, what's going on? Yeah. We had such a good year too. We were on top. We were flying. It was one of the best teams I've ever played in, like man for man, some of the players there. Yeah. And I'm thinking, is it just me? Or like, do they not want me to play? Or what's going on, man? Like 2 years in a row now. Yeah. And so then I was basically like, I'm going to be 21 in 2022. Do I stay and play 21s there or do I go somewhere else? I'd been training with the seniors at South because they were in the FFA Cup. Mm-hmm. At the time they played Melbourne City. Mm-hmm. They sort of continued. So I did 6 weeks there and I thought, fuck, maybe, I got a chance. And so I spoke with the technical director And he's like, look, I want you to stay and play 21s. We'll have a good team. You'll have a good year. And then from there, we'll see what happens. He kept talking about, the new national second division that they got coming in. And he's like, don't throw it all away to try and play seniors for 1 year. Just stick it out. He's like, I promise you, like, you make the right call if you stick around. I'm like, all right. Didn't really have anywhere else to go. So I went there and best decision I made, bro. I was, one of the top scorers in the team. We won the league. We won the grand final. We cleaned up. We scored, I think, 100 goals in 28 games. Like, broke all sorts of records, man. It was...
They're the best teams to play,
man. And it was good because everyone hated us. Everyone wanted to beat us. And we won like 20 out of 26. We went on a run in the second half of the season where we only lost, I think, one game.
That's so good.
And I just thought, like, it was probably the best thing for me because I had a good year. And so I was able to put together some clips and that and, like, show, this is... the best version of me, basically. And from there, had another chat with the TD at South, and he's like, look, it's up to you now. You could probably stick around and train with the seniors, but you're probably not going to get, the opportunities. He goes, if you've got anywhere else, have a look. And at that stage, Brunswick, Juventus had spoken to me, and they're like, we've seen you had a good year this year. We want to bring you in to play seniors with us. And we want a few young boys that are, hungry and ready to go, that are talented, because we want to try and get promoted. I'm like, fuck. So I met with them and they were, from minute one, they were like top notch. Really looked after me. The first time really in a while that you sort of feel like you're valued, you know what I mean? When you're in the 21s, even when you're in the seniors, you're kind of like just seen as like the young kid coming through. So you're kind of always at like the bottom of the pecking order, you know what I mean? They look after all the big names and the senior players, and then you're kind of just the leftover almost. You're just there. Exactly. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, he's been at the club for years. He'll be all right. He'll do it for the love of the club and whatever. Whereas when I actually came to Brunswick, it's the first time where I've ever sat in a room and had a meeting with the coach, the president, everyone on the committee, and they're like, we're really impressed with what you did last year, and we really want you to come across. And they actually make you feel like
you're wanted, really.
You're wanted, and you're actually like a part of their plans. You know what I mean? And I never had that. And so I joined them for this year and been there ever since. Can't complain, and that's kind of it.
But see, that's important. I think. Look, you obviously know as a player, man. When you got that backing from like coach,
big for your confidence.
It's unbelievable what it can do for you. Like people maybe don't understand. They haven't really played, but it's unbelievable when you've got the backing and like people believe in you. Then your belief in yourself can go to like another level.
Especially when you're like, I'm still young, trying to like break in.
Exactly right, man. So
I haven't established myself yet, so it's nice that they got that sort of faith in me. You know what I mean?
It's good, man. It's good to hear that you got that backing.
So that's really good.
It's nice because it's also sort of up to you.
To
then break in, because you've got the backing from everyone else.
Exactly.
You just got to do the job.
I just got to do the work now, which is means I don't have to focus on all the outside stuff.
Of course, exactly right.
It makes it a lot easier. Yeah,
definitely.
So, saying all that, are you still looking to maybe, I don't know, make it somewhere higher, play higher? Are you happy where you are now? What's the plan going forward?
Look, at the moment, I'm happy where I am, but I'm still just 22, so I'd like to think I've still got time.
What's the dream? Like, let's say this. Even we're talking like even when you. What was the dream?
The dream was to play overseas and in Europe or in Italy or England somewhere. But even like playing in the A-League, I would have been buzzing with any sort of professional environment. Yeah. I did some like work experience at Melbourne City, even through uni, done like some placements and stuff working at Melbourne City. So just like seeing that environment, like you see what they do, and you're just like, fuck, I wish.
Imagine that being your job, man.
Just slip your video somewhere. You leave your video on the coach's table.
Send them an email, like, by the way, I've been doing interning with you for 6 months. But you just see them. They rock up 9 o'clock, casual clothes. They come into the rooms,
see all the facilities,
say hello to all the analysis people, the physios, the coaches. They go in the rooms, they get changed. They go in the gym, they do their pre-activation. They go out, they train for an hour and a bit. They come in, they have lunch at the club.
It's unreal, man. You don't realise, I think, how lucky, how good it is until then you've actually work a normal job, let's say.
Yeah, and you can see both. And
man, how good have they got it, man? How good have they got it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I could wake up and play football every day,
so
you start feeling like that's when I think you start getting all the flashbacks. Like at our age, you're like, man, I don't want to get up in the morning now. You know what I mean? When you see all those things happen, but
even for us, man, like I always think to myself, we had it good.
Oh man, I every day think it, and I'm just like, man, like right now I'd be driving, would be walking to training, not carrying the wheel. Now it's like, man, I've got the boss where I am. Like, oh, leave me alone, man.
It's different,
so do you think there's still hope
I'd like to think so. Like even last year we played a friendly against Melbourne City, their NPL academy team. I think it was a mix of their seniors, 21s and 18s, and we went with a mix of 21s and 18s.
Mm-hmm.
It was during the year. It was just basically to get like a hit out for them as well. And I think if we had played our full team, we would have been competitive. But we sort of did a mix. We had like 3 or 4 21s boys with 6 or 7 18s, and we got pumped.
Yeah.
We lost like 10-3 or something. But I remember I only played half a game, and I set up like the only goal we scored in the first half, and I felt sharp. I felt good. I thought I played well considering the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Dad speaks to me during the week. He's like, the TD called me, and he said that Melbourne City were asking about you. I'm like, oh no way. What would they say? They're like, oh, who was that guy that was playing in the middle? He was pretty good. He looked good. What's his story? And the TD's like, yeah, he's been with us for a couple of years. He's been training with the seniors. He's doing all right. We're just going to see what happens with him. And they're like, would he come across? And he's like, oh, you'd have to speak to him. Like, because we would have him probably like seniors NPL at Melbourne City. And then from there, who knows?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Maybe you get spotted. Maybe there's
That's
injuries.
Foot in the door.
Exactly.
Foot in the door. And they're like, how old is he? And TD goes, oh, he's 21. He's young. He's 21. They're like, oh, look, he's probably a bit old for us. Maybe if he was like 18, 19, we'd have taken him.
That's the reason why I'm
asking. And I'm like,
you.
far out, man. Like,
it's crazy. Football, the age,
you know what I mean? Like they look at me. It's like I'm not much better than I was when I was. Where were you 3 years ago?
It's true.
And then COVID happened as well, so we missed those years, and it's like far out, man.
It's crazy because you're young, but you're football. You're old.
That's what I mean.
Of being an older player.
I used to cop it every week last year. Like, oh, what are you still doing playing 21s? You old, old hack and this and that. You're 21 playing with kids. What's going on?
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck,
I remember being in Italy at 16 and they were saying you're too old.
Yeah, because Primavera was like 18.
Nowadays, everyone's attitude is if you're not Mbappe at 16.
And that's the thing, man. You've got players like Pedri and that at 17 breaking onto the scene. So everyone's like looking at them. Everyone thinks at 17 everyone's going to be
superstar. But the reality is they're like 1 in a million type
exactly
players,
right. And they've grown up in Barcelona, not in Melbourne.
Exactly.
That's another difference too.
I look at someone, I look at I always, in terms of Aussie players at the moment, I always loved Aaron Moy.
Yeah,
and I remember he was like playing in the A-League, but he didn't crack it in the Premier League until he was like 28, 20. So, everyone's got their own, some people just develop a bit later.
And they mature at different stages.
Yeah, so you don't have to be, in there. And that's what I took out of last year, was just being patient. Like I did that extra year in 21s, and I was probably the oldest boy there, but better me do that and get where I am now in another NPL club than drop and play in State League or something, just so I could play and then no one ever hears from you again.
And realistically, that's just sort of pleasing other people. You're really on your own journey. So
you're exactly.
About
yourself.
Everyone's if they're telling you to play there, well, it's not maybe in your best interest.
Exactly.
So why would you go there?
I want to do what I think is best for me. And so I made sure I stuck with my guns and I did it, and I think it paid off.
It's nice when you said that, you actually felt wanted as well. Because I don't know, maybe you had the same feelings, but for a very long time in my career, I know Matt, you're the same.
Yeah, 100%.
You play for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Course.
I'm talking 98% of the time trying to make it, you're playing for yourself.
Of course,
when you come to a club where they actually care about you, it's like, I'm actually happy to put on this jersey. I'm
exactly.
Gonna go,
you're happy to do the extra. It's different. It's
different.
Whatever, if I'm only playing 10 minutes, if I'm not playing, if I'm starting, whatever I've got to do to help this club win. And even not just the committee, the volunteers, the people around the club.
People around the club, exactly.
You get to know them, and they're so nice, man. They volunteer 100%. Their time, and they work so hard for us to make sure that we've got GPS, we've got video analysis. We're only in NPL too, but they put so much work in for us. It's like, bro, you don't want to let them down as well.
Exactly right.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah,
and that's what I think people forget. The people
behind. There's so much. It's more than just the 11 that you see on the ground.
Exactly. It's everyone behind,
especially in the NPL and the community.
Exactly right.
Because they're not full time.
They're not
just
paid.
Volunteers.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just people like a lot of, because I'm at Brunswick Juve. They're all just from the Italian community. They just love the club. For them, it's what I mean.
Yeah,
it's like a little. It's like a little slice of home.
Exactly right. And
so it means everything to them.
Yeah,
definitely. No, I totally agree. In saying that, I know you're sort of young still. What have you had really a tough moment in your career, or say it's your hardest moment where you're not that you thought you're going to stop or anything, injury? Have you encountered any
moment where you thought
tough moments?
Honestly, it would probably be my last year at Avondale, and that probably the last 3 years almost.
Yeah,
going from leaving Avondale for the first time, being a free agent, so you have to sort of call people, text people.
Do all the bullshit,
organise, go to grounds and just rock up and basically trial and just see what's up. And then going from that to then not getting in. So that was Avondale, Altona, and Pascoe Vale, all like 3 no's within the space of 4 months.
And you have to pick yourself back up.
You're just there like, maybe I'm not up to it. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, I'm back at Avondale just full time with the 21s to try and find something. It's like, is it going to happen or is it not? And then you get all the COVID stuff. That's another 2 years. And I remember me, my brother, and my dad, we were just training, like the 2 of us, every single day during COVID. It started out obviously, just to keep us sane.
Of course.
But then it got to a point where it was like, not that it was annoying, but I was getting like pissed off because like, fuck, I just want to play, man. You miss playing, and it's like,
train.
I'm doing all this work. Is it gonna be worth it? What's the deal? And so the last couple of years were like far out, man. And even last season was kind of like a make or break. So I pretty much said like, if I'm gonna do it, it's got to be, I'm gonna have a good year this year. Otherwise, I'm finished because I'll be too old. No one's gonna want me, and then forget about it.
Sometimes that pressure, but it can actually give you that kick up the
Yeah.
ass, and it makes you like those little things you say, you're like, mate, I've got this last chance.
That was it, because of COVID and everything else that happened. That was all my lives.
And you go like back against a wall, everything's
and
against me. Let's see what happens, But no,
but yeah, so that has been tough. But now I think I'm in a much better place, which is really good.
When's the season start this year?
We've already started. We've played one game.
Oh, you've already started?
Yeah, we already started.
How'd you go?
We drew 1-1 with Werribee, but we
got a good team.
We got a very good team. Yeah. On paper, it's a good side. I think the club's been like for the last 10 years always second or third.
Just trying to get to that next.
Losing the playoff for always like just miss out. So we've signed a few good boys for this year. The squad is like really, really strong. There's a lot of good teams in the league this year. Yeah. It's probably the most competitive it's ever been. Some clubs like spending big money on players and whatnot, but I think we'll be right up there hopefully, which is good.
We'll have to come watch a game.
Yeah, you have to come down. Come down to Faulkner, CB Smith.
Faulkner,
CB Smith Reserve. Yeah.
No, back in the day, remember?
Back in the day.
Also, I sort of wanted to ask, not that I ever wish this upon you, but if shit did hit the fan, are you one of those guys to like pack it up, a bit like Matt did, just enough with football? Or would you sort of... Oh, I did as well.
No, 100%, but I did. There's no lie.
Yeah.
I've got my reasons.
Or do you like, nah, I'll give it another go, give it another go. Like, what sort of...
See, I feel like I would be one to just keep giving it another go. Even if like it's all over, just to keep playing. Like, I've always been like... Because even Mum says, you probably won't make it. But you got to make sure you're doing your school. You're doing this. You spend too much. You spend too much time.
Thanks for believing in me, Mum.
Yeah, it's like you spend all this time like you're focusing on your games and you prepare for your game and you do all this, everything the coach asks you, you do it. It's like you got to be realistic. I'm like but I love the game, Mum. Like I feel like my standards are like up here and I would still be up there whether I was playing professionally or just down kickabout at the park just because I love playing so much.
It's like one of those things that actually you made me think what you said. Like when you go to uni, you get a degree, let's say you become a doctor or whatever, and then you got the job on the other side, most likely. With football, it's like you're putting in all this effort with really the unknown of am I going to get a contract?
There's
am I going to play?
There's no guarantee.
I could do my knee and then that's it. All that work's down the drain. So it's like it's very hard for other people to understand that don't really have the same passion. It's a weird.
And I get people ask me like,
why are you doing it?
You almost finished your degree now. Why don't you just focus on that? And it's like, well, because they're all people that have stopped playing,
of course,
or even like whatever other sport they're doing, they've kind of given it away and they're focused on other stuff. I'm like, I couldn't do it. And I just look at it like the way I see it. I'm 22 now. If I'm playing for another 10 years, for example, that's like you're only playing for like a short time in your life, and you speak to everyone that used to play. Even Dad says like, on those days like. 20 degrees sunny, you're on a good pitch. Dad would look at me like, "Fuck, I wish I could still play, man."
Exactly. Right.
Yeah,
I don't want to, I don't want to leave anything in the tank. I just want to play for as long as I possibly can.
Yeah,
I think enjoy it as much as I can.
To make the most
while I'm still doing it.
If I can give you any advice from what I did, 100%. Keep that mentality. Like I'm just starting again now, just like because I'm missing it. But I was the same. Like when I stopped, I was just angry. Yeah. Not at, like I never hated the game in terms of like but I was
just all the
over
other
the bullshit. Man.
all the other
it's a joke. I didn't love like playing anymore because of all the other bullshit.
There was just too much going on.
I used to love going playing football. I'd go outside and I'd play football. I'd be happy. Then I started getting over that, and I'm like, then I was saying with Ali, I started realizing it's not the game, that I was
No,
angry with.
exactly.
No.
It was all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So then you start to rediscover, like, and
I would second that, man. Like any opportunity you get to play.
Yeah,
just
of
play,
course,
man. Even
man.
if it's a kick in the
even
Whatever,
just
bro.
futsal indoor, man. Like I play it now, and I'm just like, man,
I used to
can't
do it a
wait.
bit with my
I
mates
can't
from
wait,
school.
like to play
Yeah.
indoor, man, or like
Just
go,
to
to,
kick
like,
it
go
back,
for a
just-
kick with the
just
boys.
something.
Like, just, I don't know, it gives you this feeling.
I'm even
that-
missed the days at school. We used to play at lunch and then at school.
exactly right.
Yeah.
because like you never know, man. You really never know. Like I did my knee.
That's what I
haven't
mean.
been able to
You
play,
just
and
could be
it's-
around the
true,
corner.
man.
It is just the worst feeling in the world.
Plus, then you have a family, or you get married. Like, you know, then the
Things
time
change.
you don't
Things
have the
change.
time
Yeah,
to do
exactly.
these type
Of
of
course,
things. You know
of
what I mean?
course,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Was there? I wanted to ask this as well. Was there like a moment, maybe through your youth? I had a moment, right, where I thought maybe this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like I think I was at Brunswick Juve back in the day when I was little.
Yeah.
I did my like similar to what you did at Avondale. I did at Brunswick.
Yeah.
And I think I was 10 years old. And prior to that playing, I wasn't really like one of those kids you looked at and thought, wow, he's got something about him. I was just there because I think my cousin played.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I remember when I was 10, I was playing this game and I got the ball. I think I was playing centre back. I got the ball and I just put my head up and ran the whole field and scored.
Amazing.
And I thought, oh, it wasn't that hard. So I just kept doing it, right? And then it was like that moment that made me realise I can do this.
Do you actually still
You know what I
remember that, like, from that moment?
I still remember it, and it's funny because
I don't remember when I was there.
one of my mates,
That's mad.
his dad was watching, and
Yeah.
whenever I see him, he always brings it up. And I
Yeah.
was like 10 years old, and I always like, for me, that was that moment I thought, I want to do this. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, this is what I want to do. Was there like one moment that you can think back and think, I want to be a professional footballer? Something that just sticks out in your mind?
Probably when I, if I'm thinking about it, I would say maybe when I sort of first played for Avondale in the seniors. My debut, I was 16 and we played, I think Kingston we were playing. And I think I played the last 15 minutes. And I came on for Jonathan Gamano.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just remember, and we didn't used to get like massive crowds, but we were at Knight Stadium. That's where we were playing our home games that year. And I just remember the crowd like getting around me, and I'm about to come on, and I'm standing on the side of it, and like my brother filmed it, and so I've got the footage of it when I come on, and Gamano's there, gives me a big hug. He's
That's
like,
it.
good luck. I just remember that feeling, and like everyone's behind you, and then you're on the ground. And usually you don't hear the crowd, but I just remember that day, like everyone's like, come on, go. Everyone feel like, fuck, imagine, like that's maybe like 30,
You wanna
40
bring
people.
that feeling.
Can you imagine
exactly.
if I'm doing this?
100%.
Because I'm only 16 at this point. Imagine if I can do this in front of thousands, man.
Yeah.
100%. I think that's why like people struggle as well, like when they stop playing football, when they've played in those environments, because you can never replicate that feeling.
Yeah, you'll never get that
buzz,
again.
man.
No.
And I sort of now understand when I see a lot of ex-pros and stuff, they struggle when out of retirement.
Yeah.
Because it's like those type of feelings.
You can't get
can't
that anywhere
replicate
else.
it, man. You can try, do adrenaline junkie things, whatever, but
It's not the
nothing
same.
compares,
It's
man,
not the
to
same.
being, like
No,
you
no.
said, it's like all of a sudden time slows down.
Yeah.
And you can actually see the crowd and listen.
You want it to last forever.
And
but,
exactly,
Yeah.
and then it just, next thing you know,
You just wish you
the
could just be
game's
there the whole
done and
time.
you're like-
That's it.
But yeah, no, that's crazy. I love that.
It's crazy, man. What the emotions football gives you, man. It's
And
unbelievable.
it's like nothing else.
Not just because like we're obviously football fans and we love football, but
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something special about it, man. Like I've never seen something transmit so much emotion.
No, when
passion.
I speak to people that aren't big on the game, I'm
It's-
just like, I don't understand how you can't be. Like,
Oh,
for me, it's like, it's everything.
I don't understand. There's just more to it just like being a game.
So much more.
Especially like the one simple thing is like we go anywhere in the world and you won't speak the language or anything, but you put like a football or you're wearing like a Ronaldo top.
All of a sudden,
I'm best mates with this bloke.
Yeah.
I don't even know what his name is.
Don't
what
speak the language. You don't know what
Like
he's
you
saying.
start
to me.
like sign language in,
So now we're
Ronaldo
best mates.
Champions League. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
So true.
I don't think there's much.
There's
else that
not
can
much
do
else
that.
in the
No.
world that can do that to people. No way.
So what's next for Christian Inglese? What's
next?
what's
Good
next?
question. What's next? I guess we're going to see how we go this year. Give it a real good crack, and then see what happens. Kind of just take it one step at a time. That's another thing I've learned.
Yeah,
Not to get too far ahead of myself. I remember even when I first broke into a senior team, I would look at other young kids in the NPL doing it, and I was getting frustrated. I'm like,
Yeah.
when am I going to get it? I should be there. I got to be this. And it's like, don't rush. Just
Too
like
much
enjoy the
That's
journey,
different.
basically. Just
Exactly.
take it one
No,
step at a
Spot
time,
on.
and see where that takes me. I'm not going to put like too much pressure on
Definitely.
myself. But
Do you have like a point of difference in your game that you think
I would say speed, and I think I would say like my vision as well. I would always be sort of one pass ahead of everyone else. You know, so many times where I'll have the ball and everyone's like, what's he going to do? And I'll just whip out a
You'll
pass.
see a pass that someone else
Split the
doesn't.
defense right open, our striker will score, and everyone's how's he seeing that?
It's a good
And
quality.
then that and my
really
speed, you know, I think we wear the GPS. I think what have I clocked this year? 35 kilometers an hour.
Jesus.
So
That's
I
very
used to
well.
do
If,
I used to do little athletics
I was
growing
gonna
up.
say,
were you
football
100
doesn't work.
sprinter?
I used to
Yeah.
do, and we used to do like relays and races. So you'd go to state championships, and so I
Yeah.
used to do all that. I think that helped as well. So they're probably the two things.
Did you ever have like a thought of going overseas? Was there ever an opportunity? Did you ever, I don't know, did anything ever come up?
We sort of had like these half sort of things that would come up, but it was sort of like, you know, with an academy or someone would say, oh, I'm putting together a team, we're going to go to Italy and
Oh,
this
yeah,
and
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, and then what ends up happening, they don't go, or they don't have the
Yeah.
money, or,
Yeah,
so there's
yeah,
all
yeah,
that sort of
there's a lot of-
stuff.
There's a lot of
Uncertainty,
that.
But then there's always like for me, because I'm still studying, there's always the option of like when I finish studying, you know, take a year off or
Just
whatever
go
and
see what
see what
happens,
happens.
Would you do it?
I'm thinking about it.
Do
you
it.
know.
Is this your last
If
year? Of
there's-
This is
studies?
my last year of
So,
study. I'm 22. So
Yeah,
I'm
and
not-
that's a good thing. Your time, like,
you know.
Yeah.
decided.
But yeah, just I guess take it 1 week at a time, see what happens, see how we go.
That's good, man. I
Yeah.
reckon if I can give you advice, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Definitely,
think that whole thing about going to new clubs and whatever, and you know, being at one club for so long and then coming into a new change room, for me, it's Matt can just testify for this as well. It's
Yeah.
such a character building
Yeah.
For
thing,
sure.
not just for football.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Just for
yeah. I
life.
found it as well.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walking into like if in a new office, let's say, or a new
Yeah,
job,
new job.
and you're meeting people. What's your first impression? Are you respectful? Do you say hello to everyone?
Yeah.
Are you arrogant? For me, that's what I think has been huge. Is what football's taught me in everyday life as well.
Yeah, there's
You
so
know,
much
you can
more
take
there.
it
Yeah,
through with you
and how you
forever.
carry yourself and whatnot.
And I guess like these type of moments too of you being like in a senior squad at a young age, you've had to mature.
Yeah,
So these type of experiences, if you do end up going overseas, I'm sure
Yeah,
that
you can
you'll
translate
be
it.
able to
Definitely.
like
Yeah.
tolerate it. You know.
for sure.
Did you have you had any sort of funny run-ins, or say like any bad moments, say, you know, with another player at a club? Don't even have to mention names or anything. Are you one of those guys that will ruffle feathers, or you just sort of
Nah,
stay
usually
low?
I'm-
see more kickbacks.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
usually the one that just sort of sits in the corner and
Yeah.
watches everyone else make
Yeah.
dicks of themselves.
Yeah.
You know, if there's something going on, I'm the one that might
The-
film it
the-
or something. I'm not the one
yeah,
that's
the
gonna
record.
get involved.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
fair enough.
Because I hate to get like embarrassed
Yeah.
and stuff. So when they do all the muck around stuff, I'm like, oh.
See, Ali's the one that likes to.
Yeah, no, it's
Nah,
never, it's never
nah,
as
whack,
you know, it's
nah.
never been me like to be.
To be
that
honest,
one.
I think I've become a little bit more like that in my older years. Because
Yeah,
when
I
you get
reckon you
older,
have,
like
man.
you get a little bit more comfortable.
You were like very, very like
professional.
serious.
Yeah,
like,
I think
to the
I'm
point
still
like,
probably a
Ali,
bit that
just
way.
calm down a bit.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
getting better now that I've been around like that environment
Yeah.
a bit more.
You
Like
sorta
when I
remind me
first
of
came
me,
in,
yeah.
I was really young with all these older guys.
You
and
just
I'm like,
wanna, you don't know what you're doing.
just
like,
put your
you
head
they're
wanna
all so
stay-
much older than me, and I'm like, I don't want to
Yeah,
cause
nah,
any trouble.
100%.
But now I'm a bit older. I've been around a few different change rooms. You sort of
Definitely.
loosen up a little bit.
Yeah,
So it's a bit different.
you're
now.
right about that, man.
You calm down a lot,
Calm
man.
down.
At one stage, it was like, Ali, bro, look, just. I know you're a professional, but just breathe a bit, bro. Just relax. Just, look.
You got to try and enjoy it as
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
That's the
Like,
thing.
don't get me wrong. I was sometimes maybe I was too laid back. I was at that, but
Yeah,
but
but
it's
you
good
can
that
have
we had
both.
each other, like
Yeah,
to
balance
put each other
each
into
other
line. But
You can have both. You can.
it's
be
definitely
serious
something
and
as
still-
we've grown up, we've learned to
You learn
balance.
along the way,
exactly.
of course. Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
for sure.
It's funny how you change as a player, even in the change.
But I think that comes from, like you said, experience. Having those
Yeah.
experiences, and you're like, wait, I don't have to be so like rigid to play well. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean because I had fun, I'm gonna play bad.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's like
Exactly.
there's a lot of different aspects to it. So I
Yeah,
think that
definitely.
helps.
Definitely. Well,
Actually, I forgot to ask you. Important question. Who do you follow in Serie A?
In Serie A, Juventus.
oh,
It's-
bad,
you know,
bad answer.
I forgot
That's
to
why
ask
for
you that
me
stuff.
playing at Brunswick is
Yeah, I
it's the
was-
first time I
mate,
get to wear the
you're-
black
you're
and
more-
white
you're
stripes.
like,
Oh
yeah,
my
there you go.
days, man.
That's mad.
It's big, you know. That's the one like football club I didn't get to pick. That was just from birth. Because me
Your man.
and my dad.
Yeah.
So he supports Chelsea. I'm Man United.
Okay.
I prefer
okay.
Real Madrid. He's Barcelona.
Oh,
he's,
no way.
He's Collingwood. I'm Essendon. So we're always opposites.
Who's he in Italy?
In Italy, he's Juventus.
Oh, so
our whole
they're the only
family,
one
our
that
whole
uses it
family is
together.
Juventus. Like
You're
that's
the
like a
only
non-negotiable.
team, okay.
Like you want to live in this, you're
No way,
you're
yeah.
you're black and white. Everything else we're different, but that's the one thing. Like
Now you're playing for Juve.
and now I'm playing for Juve. Like and Dad played there 30 years ago, and
Oh, no way.
now
That's
I'm there
mad.
now. Yeah, so it's
Funny
a good,
story.
It's a good story.
When I used to play at Juve, and we used to win the game, you probably still do it. You chant Juve. I would
Juve.
never do it because I'm an Inter supporter.
See, that's one.
And I remember Joe telling me off one game.
Really?
Like, he was actually serious. He's like, "Why aren't you chanting?" I'm like,
You have to,
I'm
bro.
like, I actually
Can't do it. Can't do
can't
it.
come out. Like, can't do it. I feel sick.
This guy hates like Juve. Like I'm a Milan fan.
I hate Inter.
Hey, I'm a Milan
It's
fan.
mutual, bro. It's mutual.
Say I'm a Milan fan,
got
but
the
like, I'm not like I don't even like hate Inter. Like obviously I don't like him, but this guy and his cousins, they have hatred, man, for Juve. Like,
Everyone hates Juve, but
I don't know.
I don't blame them. Everyone hates us. It's fine.
It's a bit.
I've got a little soft spot for Juve, not because of I like them. No, I don't got a soft spot. Or it's maybe the wrong word, but I like the grand organisation, the way they do things. You know,
Yeah,
I
I
like
get
that
what you
part of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose any listeners.
You know what I
Like,
mean?
Juve's
You know
always
what,
something.
man? I'm not saying.
Juve's
To
number
be
one.
honest, hey,
Honestly,
like this
Juve's
morning.
number
I'll
one.
give you an example. This morning, Inter's playing in the Champions League. I wanted Inter to win
Yeah.
for Italy, man, for Italian league.
Yeah, of course.
That's, you know what I mean. That's the
You wanna
mentality.
see- you
I'm
wanna
not
see
like
it
I'm
go
an
well.
Inter fan, but I want to see the country and the league. do
Yeah.
well. Yeah, come on,
Can
you
do
do that as well. When we versus Tottenham, you're going for Milan. Don't lie.
Wow.
You're gonna go
Two
for
terrible
Tottenham.
teams,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Come on, man.
So you'd be buzzing then that we got that big point deduction and when we
Oh, man, I was right.
He's
That
looking
made me
like-
We'll
Yeah.
still watch some bullshit. You will get it like overturned or something.
Yeah,
Somehow.
I
you
hope
always find a
so.
way
It'd be nice.
But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Anyway, what a chat.
It's been good.
Good shit.
Good fun.
We'll have to go watch a game.
Yeah, I think we have
You have to come
Let
down.
us
You
know.
you know the joint. You played there, man. You
Yeah,
gotta
might-
get us,
they
get us
might
some
roll
season.
out.
Get us
They
some
might-
tickets, mate.
They might roll out the red carpet.
Box
Oh,
tickets, mate.
yeah,
I want
no, I
box
don't
tickets.
think
Oh.
Everyone with Ale Verratti and
No.
Come on, box tickets. What's his name? Joe. Hey, Joe.
Joe.
Box tickets, mate.
Sort us out, Joe, please.
There you go.
That's it.
Yeah,
I'll speak to him.
Yeah, let us know.
I'll let him know. I'm like, hey.
Oh, done.
All right, so another podcast in the books. Thank you for
Thank you very much.
listening. Make sure you subscribe. Spotify. I think we're gonna do something on YouTube soon.
Yeah, we are.
James.
We'll do
says
some
yes.
fun stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crossbar challenges.
Yeah. So follow us on Instagram. I think we've got a Facebook now.
Yeah, I think we
We're
do.
setting up
All right.
slowly.
I'm too old for Facebook, man. I don't know. I work today.
Oh,
TikTok
TikTok
as
as
well.
well. We're on
James is
TikTok
gonna
too
be
now.
on
We're a bit
TikTok,
old
mate.
for TikTok.
I
But
don't even know
we'll
what
get
TikTok
on
is.
there.
Nah.
They're all happening.
You on TikTok?
A little bit. Yeah.
Nah,
I've
that's
got
all
it.
Don't
but
lie.
I'm not-
He's gonna follow us tonight. So.
Yeah.
I'm probably already following.
So
I don't know. He runs a
I'm on
TikTok.
top of it.
It's been an absolute pleasure, man. Thanks
No,
for coming
Thanks very
on.
much.
Thank you
man.
very much
Thank
for having
you.
me. I
No,
really
all the best
appreciate
this
it.
All the best for the
Thank you.
season. Make sure you bang him in.
And yeah,
Definitely. I
be
will
there to
do.
watch some games. Don't worry.
Yeah, for 100%.
Sounds like a plan, huh? Sounds
Done.
like a plan.
Thanks, guys.
Ciao,
Take
guys.
care. Ciao, ciao.